Hello, hello. Well. Very familiar feeling. East of First. I'm your host, Isaac Ambrose. This episode will be titled Garcia. Adios to Dawson Garcia as he goes to North Carolina, to Chapel Hill. And apparently, North Carolina was big on his recruitment out of high school, so he already had some connections there. But of course, that hasn't worked out for Illinois, as we have missed out on recruitments twice. Ty Washington, just the first one that comes to mind. Anyways, missing out on Garcia stinks, and it feels like we've missed out on just about every recruit. Not recruit so much, transfer recruit, as college basketball is changing. But hey, we got Alfonso Plummer. We've gotten some other, Grandison, Hutcherson, those guys they're transfers. Now we've just gotten our hopes up for these big-name transfers who don't ultimately end up coming here. The Garcia situation, I almost wish I would have never heard about it and put so much time and effort into watching, his videos, looking up his stats, just thinking about how awesome it would be if he came here, because we didn't end up landing him. And I know that's probably, it's just a simple-minded thing to say, oh, I wish I never would have heard about him, but that's how it's starting to feel with some of these transfers. Trey Mitchell, for example, comes to my mind. Spent so much time thinking that one sounded good, and we were in on his recruitment, and don't even come anywhere near him. So you just wasted so much time thinking about that, when you could have just been focused on the guys in-house, the guys that were already committed, or some high school recruits you actually had a chance on. I will say, today, as the day has gone on, I felt a little bit better. Now, this morning was difficult. Thought we had more of a chance with Garcia, like I think most of you did. So when the North Carolina rumors came, not rumors, turned out to be true, on Twitter, that he was more than likely going there, and everybody started freaking out, which I was probably a little bit over dramatic myself. I've backed off a little bit, sort of put things more into perspective. High school recruiting has been a lot better since Underwood's been here, which I will get to. The fact that worst case scenario at this point, unless a bunch of injuries and all the wheels fall off, I think you're still, worst case scenario, a bubble team. The pieces you have currently, if you weren't to add anything else, seem like the pieces that Underwood can put together. He's got more of his guys. And if you have Curbelo on your side, then you're feeling good at all times. You just need to put some decent pieces around him. Melendez, Goody, Pods, I don't know why I struggled to say his last name. Curbelo, Coleman Hawkins, who we haven't really tapped into yet, Grandison, Hutchison. We forget too, maybe not so much about Trent Frazier because of all the NIL stuff he's been doing, but DeMonte, you still have a lot of solid pieces and guys that have been on the past two teams that have actually had postseason success, besides the Loyola game, obviously. So even if Kofi leaves, which will be terrible, you missed out on Garcia, you still have a solid core returning and guys that seem like they love Illinois, they love Underwood, they love the system. Maybe you start winning more, you are more relevant for more than just a couple years, and you can win some of these bigger recruitments. As frustrating as the Garcia situation was, I'm still thinking, if I was 19-20 and North Carolina comes knocking on my door presenting wild numbers, which a lot of us have heard that North Carolina came out with some big-time numbers. I'm sure Michael Jordan being an alumni there helps. It's tough to beat, and even if Kofi does end up going to Kentucky, Kentucky is Kentucky. They treat their basketball players like gods, and not that we treat our basketball players less than. That is their pro team. It's Antigua. Getting into the Kofi situation, so obviously a few days ago, he took his name out of the draft. Confusing Kofi situation because he went to the draft, took his name out, but he entered the transfer portal while he was still in the draft, and now he's not in the draft, but he's in the transfer portal. He was in Atlanta apparently today, talking to probably every coach in college basketball, I'm sure wanted him. The whole Kofi in the jersey in the rafters, situation has become interesting, and I know people have been getting into arguments with Stephen Bardo on Twitter about Kofi's legacy sort of here after he leaves. But to me, if Kofi leaves, I'm not necessarily going to have hard feelings towards him because we still want what's best for him. Now, if he went to like Michigan or Ohio State, I don't think I could ever forgive that. But say he does go to Kentucky, he boosts up his draft stock and he gets drafted. Great for him, but I don't want to see that in the rafters. I don't want to see somebody who I know went on to bigger and better things. Yes, he did awesome things for Illinois, but even Io's probably my favorite Illinois player of all time. And if he left, that would have just probably completely tarnished his legacy here at Illinois. But things are obviously going to be different now. It's a different college basketball world. It's a different college sports world with this NIL. Kofi's probably getting ridiculous numbers thrown at him as we speak. It's going to be more of a professional game. But still, if you go somewhere else, just like Packer fans probably with Brett Favre. Brett Favre is still, one of their legends, one of their Mount Rushmores. There's definitely some Packer fans out there who remember his time with the Jets, remember his time with the Vikings, and I don't want to see that for Kofi. Kofi knows he's loved here. Even if Kentucky seems sexier, people in Champaign love you. People in Champaign will buy all your stuff immediately. If you go to Kentucky, you're going to be obviously a big dog, but Kentucky's got, a 5-star freshman coming in. Kentucky's got guys going there, and Kofi would still be probably the best player on that team, maybe not the best NBA prospect, but there's going to be more competition, and you get Kentucky's recruiting a 5-star kid who could have gone anywhere in the country, and then you get a guy like Kofi coming in who's going to take all the spotlight. That's going to frustrate a 17, 18-year-old kid. And Kentucky had all their problems last year while they still had talent. So now if Kofi goes there, I'm not wishing the worst on Kentucky, and Kofi's still going to be the best player. There might just be some ruffled feathers or ruffled fur for the Wildcats down there. Now, earlier this week, I was obviously fantasizing about that starting five with Kofi, Garcia, Curbelo, Trent, and then maybe Plummer, maybe Coleman Hawkins, maybe DeMonte Grandison, who started all those games at the 4 for you last year, which we don't want to forget. Again, like I said earlier, there's some awesome pieces here. I mean, you lost, 2 games with Grandison at the 4 last year after never being able to find a 4. And no, he's not your typical 4 in the sense where he's got the wingspan of a crane bird, or he's not taking guys to the post, but he can shoot threes. So if you have a dominant 5 and you get a guy like Payne figuring that out, then Grandison doesn't have to be as much of a typical NBA style 4. But yes, it would be great to land a guy like Garcia. And at this point, can we just land a transfer? And yes, we got Alfonso Plummer. We've gotten a few transfers the past few years, but just a big name transfer. I mean, you've been the top 10 or whatever, which I think is a complete joke because all these kids put out their top 10, their top 25, but they really know, ultimately who they're going to. They could put Murray State A&M blind school in their top 25, and everybody knows they're not going there. They're just doing that maybe to get a free t-shirt or do something, which I can't blame. Again, recruiting, college basketball, everything is going to change and going to continue to change. I am totally for all of that, all the NIL and everything, but there's going to be some murky water. There's going to be some sketchy things going on, especially the first few years until we get this stuff figured out. Interesting with Garcia, maybe this was our recruiting pitches problem, but you think if he comes to Illinois, there's that clear path to be the big dog, the big name, or alongside Kofi, even if Kofi were to come back on a team that was just a 1 seed. You go to North Carolina, they had a down year for North Carolina standards. You're going to, again, be competing for that top spotlight. And he was the best player last year probably on a Marquette team who was not very good. So he would have been a perfect number 2 on a former 1 seed. Curbelo's going to be the number 1. Even when Kofi comes back, he's going to get all the attention, but Curbelo's going to be the one stirring the pot, making things happen in the background. But again, it's a blue blood. It's just hard to recruit against. And I was thinking during the Garcia recruitment when, again, our hopes were up so much about Dawson Garcia. Think of a guy like Payne or Coleman Hawkins. You don't want to mess up the locker room or the vibes of the locker room either, because those guys came here because they trusted Brad, they trusted the system, and they thought they could get playing time. Of course, you're going to want to bring in the best players at all times, but you have these guys that have put in so much effort for your program, obviously not paying as much. Coleman Hawkins put in all this time and effort into your program just so you can bring in a transfer. That might have stirred some things up, but you'd always obviously take a guy who's proven and who's done it multiple years, when I would have been okay with another Payne and Coleman Hawkins development year and a couple of the other younger guys who have a few more years left of eligibility. Let them develop one more year and then bring in the guys that allow you to compete for another Big Ten title. But here we are, feeling again like a roller coaster, mostly on the come down of a roller coaster. It's July. There's still a lot that can change. I mean, last year we were sort of questioning where we were going to be at this time, and then Io comes back and everything starts to open up. So the last negative thing I'll say, which I tweeted out today, is Illinois sports again. I don't know how I let it get me, but it's like that girlfriend who you have your problems, right? Sort of are like a parasite in the background, but you make each other really happy. She makes you really happy, and when you're together, it is like ecstasy, and the good times are super good, just like when you win the Big Ten tournament and you win recruiting battles and you get a 1 seed, and then she stabs you in the back and you fall for it. Even though the whole time you sort of knew in the back of your head that things weren't going to stay good for that long. In the back of your head, when you're holding up the Big Ten title banner, you think in the back of your head, okay, surely we're over this, but probably not. Not to just be negative Nancy about everything and be like, poor pity party Illinois fan. But this is tough. It's hard to think how all of this terrible stuff could have happened and to happen in one off season. It's one thing. So we lost Io and we lost Kofi. That was that was obviously expected, especially for Io. But for all the assistants to leave and then the Adam Miller drama, it just seems like a lot of unnecessary stuff. Whereas other programs might just have the typical few seniors leave, or the underclassman that goes to the NBA draft. Okay, now that is over, I will say I'm feeling better today, mainly because I think the basketball recruiting realm is still up considering where it was before Brad came in. And Illinois has always had, solid recruiting classes, as we are a basketball school. But just when it comes to excitement and actual on-the-court talent and guys you can look up their highlight video and be like, dang, I want that guy to come here, Brad has definitely improved your recruiting there. So far, Brad's worst recruiting class, just by star ranking and everything, was Kofi's class. So looking back on it, we can actually evaluate now. Even if you had a bunch of 1-stars and then you brought in Kofi the same year, that's obviously a win. Kofi was a second-team All-American, one of the best players in the country, a sleeper too that you felt very highly about, committed after Florida Atlantic. So I would definitely say that's a winning class. Besides that, you've had obviously Io come in, you've had the Mark Smith win, you've had Adam Miller win, and these guys now that you're getting to commit. Again, this past year you didn't have that huge Io Adam Miller type guy, but Luke Goody, awesome, top 70 or 80. Pods, another top 100 guy. Then Melendez, the fact that he is just lengthy, has a lot of potential, sort of came out of nowhere, and he is just simply a addition. We don't talk about him very much, but he isn't a pro. He's not a recruiting class changer. It wasn't make or break this year, like we were putting all of our eggs into the Melendez basket. That was just an awesome addition and a great win for the staff. It seems pretty obvious, right, what type of kid they're recruiting. And when Kofi leaves, obviously if another Kofi comes around, which I don't know if that ever happens, you're going to take him. But it seems pretty obvious what type of kid, what type of athlete Brad is recruiting. So going backwards just for fun, before Mark Smith came to town, and that whole recruiting debacle, Tajon Lucas was basically your recruiting class the year before that. And then Jalen Coleman-Lands, which was a good pickup. I mean, he was a big-name recruit, shot the lights out. You landed him. There was a couple other guys, but he's really the only memorable one. The year before that was LeRon Black, who turned out well. But again, nothing close to what an Io or a Kofi, or if Adam Miller would have stayed here, he would have been obviously very, 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 very good. So not insanely exciting there. You have to really go back to 2013 when you had a Kendrick Nunn and a Malcolm Hill, who obviously changed the program. Malcolm Hill for good reasons. Kendrick Nunn had some solid time here in Illinois before he had to step out. But again, just the names you're getting, the amount of buzz you're getting about these top 40, 50 guys, and we are yet to get that top 10 or 20 guy that is that 5-star, but I do think that's coming. I don't obviously know any insider information, but one of these guys Brad's going to get into early. We're going to build up that relationship and land them. Chester seems to be doing a great job building relationships with these kids, so I completely 100% trust that we are going to get somebody ranked even higher than Adam Miller was, even higher than Io was here in the future. And John Gross's classes were just gross. I mean, for lack of a better term, like there was some sexy names in there, but how many of those guys actually really panned out? You've already had a Curbelo, that's already panned out. Io obviously panned out. Adam Miller would have panned out if there weren't the behind-the-scenes issues. Kofi has panned out. I guess we do have to give credit to Gross for Trent and DeMonte, who have panned out to be awesome program builders, but Brad's teams have been the one who developed them. I mean, Sincere Harris, this newest 4-star recruit, came out of nowhere, played at LeBron James High School, a 6'3" dude, opened up the first video on him, just threw it down on somebody as if he was 6'8". No, he's 6'3", he's quick. Another lefty, Brad likes the lefties, and another top 100 guy. Again, it feels like in the past that would have been sort of a make or break, but you have sort of built up this reputation. The Reggie Bass, AJ Storr, that's going to be interesting. I ultimately don't think you'll get either of them, just because that seems how those recruitments are kind of going, and rarely, like AJ Storr, do you get a decommitment and then somebody commits back. Anyways, I feel like personally recruiting is better, and I trust that Brad gets his sort of guys and Brad gets his system going. I could care less if it's a top 100 or a top 10 if he's going to get his system, and he's going to get the guys that you just insert and you get really good at doing that small ball fast stuff we were doing before. It will be interesting again going from having Kofi for a couple years to back to what Brad used to do. It's really night and day different. So how's this transition going to go? Is it going to be ugly at first? How are you going to do it with Curbelo? Because I mean, Curbelo could probably run any offense. He probably could go play quarterback somewhere too. Just he's that smart and he's that good with the basketball. It's going to be interesting. Won't find out for another few months, but here we are in the lull of summer. I'm ready for football stuff to start so we can not obsess over Illinois basketball rumors and stuff for a little bit. I'm obviously more Illinois basketball fan, but I still am a diehard football fan, follow every game, and I'm ready to beat up on Scott Frost here come the end of August. Little fun tidbit, Georgie working out for the Lakers, and I think the Bucks today. I'm actually wearing my Georgie B amazing shirt right now. And this NIL stuff, this is something that would have been great for Georgie. Too bad he was just a little bit too late, and I'm sure we've heard his advertisements and everything, doing pretty well on the money side of things, I'm sure, right now. And what he got to meet LeBron James, got the jersey, so he's doing pretty well. But guy like Georgie, who was just a hometown, well, not a hometown because he's from Georgia, but he felt like he was from Champaign, how much he loved it here. Guy like that would have really, really benefited off the NIL. And it'll be interesting to see the different brands and things that come out. Obviously, Trent's been all over it. Curbelo, I'm sure, will make plenty money. And if you do end up landing Kofi, whatever, I'll buy literally anything with Kofi's face on it, a cup, a pencil, a chip clip, whatever you can think of. A Kofi mug. I still think the Kofi coffee idea is the way to go. But for now, we wait and see what Kofi is going to do. I do not believe for 1 second this will be a easy, fast process, and I don't feel super great about him coming back to Illinois right now. But Kofi seems to be pretty hard to read and pretty unpredictable, so maybe we're going to get lucky and get another year of Coburn here in Champaign. Something fun I was able to do here this afternoon, right after work, came home And the 2019 Illinois football win over MSU at MSU, the comeback we all remember, was on BTN. They were replaying the Illinois Classic. Thought it'd be fun to sort of replay what happened that day, and we're never going to forget that. And as interesting as the Lovie era was, man, the Michigan State game, the Wisconsin game, the Purdue game was memorable just because of how rainy and sloppy it was, but the Michigan State game, being down 28-3. So I'm from Michigan, had some buddies up there. We went to the game actually in East Lansing. Got pretty good seats just from a family friend. I was sitting in the southwest corner, which was directly diagonal from all of the Illinois fans, the huge chunk of Illinois fans, family members. So I felt pretty lonely. I was, of course, sitting with my two friends who went to Michigan State and were big Michigan State fans around season ticket holders. So the only person wearing orange, you go down 28-3, you're sort of rethinking your whole life at that point. Like, man, what am I doing? I was getting so much crap. I remember the guy behind me giving me a lot of crap, but saying, oh, yeah, but I like the Bears. Trubisky's not going to be good this year. And I was like, yeah, all right. Like, just make it worse, dude. Then the Bebe touchdown happened. They were still not giving us much respect. Sort of a freak thing. 28-10, that puts you at the halftime. It was pretty cool that day and pretty breezy up there in Michigan. So when Michigan State kicked that field goal, it's 31-10. The fans start to clear out less and less. It wasn't that very much of a packed game anyway. Then we score, comes closer. You get it 31-17. We score again. Everything seems to be clicking. Bebe has that drag route across the middle. He takes up the sideline, and then Reggie Corbin scores, and then Sidney Brown gets the pick six, and we're like, oh my gosh, we are going to win this game. And then James McCourt missed the field goal. And most of us remember the McCourt field goal against Wisconsin to win it for us. The McCourt missed extra point. So you are down 31-30. I forgot how painful that was being in the stadium, being not too far from the crossbar, being around Michigan State fans, and you missed the extra point. So the whole first half, right, I am getting chewed out for wearing orange. The second half, I'm the only one cheering around me. And then you tie it up, and the most Illinois thing happens. McCourt misses the extra point. Obviously, we all know how the game ended. Brandon Peters to Daniel Barker, and best comeback in school history. Just what a game. Just such great memories. Bebe was absolutely outstanding. Brandon Peters made some great plays. Dre Brown made some great plays. The defense played great the second half. It just all had to work out perfectly. And again, as rough as the Lovie era was, can't say that wasn't exciting. Then I'm leaving and just getting chewed out. I'm the only one dancing till people tell me to sit the F down. But that was a great day. So thank you, Lovie. And you are gone now. Have fun at the Texans. But that was a great one to relive. If you get a chance, go check it out on BTN or YouTube it or whatever to look it up. Last but not least, this weekend parlay. So I've been struggling recently. Hit one last week or so. After watching the NBA Finals and keeping up with the playoffs and just sort of the way it's trending, I'm going to be putting my money on Sunday's NBA Finals game. And if you have FanDuel, they have two $10 risk-free bets for the NBA Finals. So just a little PSA there. I'm going to take the Bucks because I think the Suns are going to win the series, but most of the time when a team goes down 2-0, the game that they win is the third game. Give me the Bucks. Giannis is not going to pass the ball and score 40 probably again. So give me the Bucks money line. I like Chris Paul points. I think he's gone over his points almost every game in the past couple series. Chris Paul over on points, Bucks money line, and probably Giannis over points, but I assume his are going to be very high up there. And then maybe take the over. I just love rooting for points because basically every time anyone scores, if you take the over, anytime somebody makes a free throw, a layup, you're like, yes, points. And that way you can just root for everybody to score. And it's never fun to root for the under, and then it breaks, and it's just no fun to lose that way, watching the whole game just to see somebody hit a free throw and go the over. So you might not have any idea what I'm talking about right now, but you might have already turned this off. And it's going to be an interesting next couple weeks with Illinois sports. We will see what happens with Kofi. We know what happens with Garcia, so hopefully some more recruiting dominoes fall, or we get some crazy football news or something. But summer's going fast. Football season's going to be here before we know it, and let's hope to see Kofi and Brad Underwood's squad rooting on Brett Bielema this fall like they do go to the game sometimes. So I'm going to miss Kofi and Georgie and those guys together, but hey, they say don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. So here we are. It's Thursday night, going to be a good weekend. Thank you for listening. East of First, I'm your host, Isaac Ambrose. Have a great weekend.